Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1.
I did just work out, guys.
Boxing Ego. I'm here with an Olympian, bronze medalist, got the tattoo, Marlen Esparza. How are you doing?
Good, I'm good.
Now, you're currently in camp. Tell us what card. There's a big card coming up and you're on it. What card is that?
I'm on the Canelo and Chavez Jr. undercard. So it's going to be exciting. May 6th at the MGM. It's only my second fight, so to be on that card's kind of, it's intense.
It's a big deal, yeah. Definitely.
But Mexican, man. It's like the most Mexican fight of all Mexican fights. It's huge, so it's I'm really excited about it, and especially growing up watching Chavez or Chavez Sr. to even think that I'd be on that sort of card. Being a female is not.
Now, Golden Boy did a multi-fight deal with ESPN, and you were just on that card, the opening card.
I was.
What was your assessment in your pro fight, and like, what did you take away from that fight? How did it feel versus the Olympic and amateur experience and stuff? How did it feel on the ESPN card?
I liked it a lot. It was different. To be honest with you, I felt weird.
Weird? Explain.
It was awkward. It was an awkward fight for me. I knew that the pedigree of my opponent wasn't gonna be anywhere near mine, but it's what I wanted. You know, it would be dangerous to try to go any other route, I feel, and I'm trying to build myself correctly. And it was just awkward. I wasn't worried about the boxing. I was worried about being under so much pressure, going into an unknown area. Boxing's always gonna be, I know what to do when I get inside the ring. But, you know, just everything that comes along with the transition and having to have a camp and getting everything done at the same time was uncomfortable. And I didn't know what to expect and that sort of thing. But now that I have it a little bit more, I know what to visualize a little bit as far as emotions go, I'm happy with it. It was good for what I could ask for. It was under the situation and the scenario.
On a scale of 0 to 10, obviously you've had big moments. I mean, you have an Olympic tattoo, so that's a huge moment. Scale of 0 to 10, first pro fight, how anxious or jittery were you on, like just walking out and just, this is the real deal right now?
It was pretty, yeah.
It was up there?
It was pretty up there. I could tell because when I get extremely nervous, I become really quiet and calm. So instead of, like, I don't like bounce around, I'm not hype, I'm more like, boom, everything just shuts. Like,
so audience, if you ever see Marlen in the streets and she's calm, then
yeah, like, I'm
stay away.
Something's up. So I was like walking out, and it was just, I felt like I was just like walking through the mall, like
oh, you got to that place.
Yeah, I was just like chilling, like, okay, I'm fighting now. And then once the bell rang, it was like, okay. But that's how nervous I knew I was, for sure.
Definitely. Now, you're from Texas, obviously a boxing state. There's a lot of great fighters from Texas. How did you get into boxing?
Oh, I got into boxing. It's a weird story, I guess. My dad always watched boxing growing up, right? So a huge boxing fan. He's the type of fan that can tell you fighters' names that we've never heard of, their records, where they came from, who they lost to, what year, who trained them, that sort of thing. So I would always be around my dad. I was a daddy's girl, always have been. And he decided to, you know, take me with him all the time and watch, and that's what I would do. And one time he let my brothers go to the gym, try to get my brothers to go to the gym. And they would go, but I would have to go with my dad to drop them off. I wasn't allowed to box. And I would tell my dad to please let me try and go into the gym. And he said it wasn't for me. And I remember that forever. So it was about 3-4 years until he let me try. Because my older brother said no, he didn't want to do it anymore.
How old?
I was 11 when I started, but I wanted
Okay.
to box since I was like 7, 8. My dad would tell me no, no, no. And then my older brother said no, he didn't want to go to the gym anymore. And my little brother still had no choice. So I told my dad if he let me go, I would babysit my little brother. And that's how I got
So you worked that little family pact.
Yeah, like, hey, I'll watch him if you let me box. And my little brother quit 2 months later. Now he's a chef. And
Can he cook good?
He can cook good. Yeah, he can cook good. He's more into Italian food. But then I never left, and I had the same trainer for 10 years. And then same trainer from the first day I walked in for 10 years. And that's how I got into it.
Wow, see, we're learning something new. Now, growing up, did you have a certain, you're coming up from a boxing family that's always admired the sport. Was there like just that fighter where you just like studied, or that you just liked their fights or went to their fights, anything like that?
I was never able to go to a lot of fights. But I would watch a lot. Salvador Sanchez was my absolute favorite of all time.
Most people forget about Salvador. I'm impressed.
Salvador is my dude.
Untimely death.
Yeah, I know. Salvador Sanchez, Pernell Whitaker, Aaron Pryor, Alexis Arguello.
Oh, okay, so you're watching
like the old
OGs,
school,
the real. Okay.
You know, to be honest, I love Muhammad Ali's attitude, but I really wasn't much of a fan, boxing-wise. Once I started to learn a lot about boxing, like, and how, you know, the actual details that people don't know to pay attention to unless you're in the sport, I started to admire Chavez Sr. a lot more, because that inside game's no joke. Those little taps you think are just taps, and they're not. Nonito Donaire, I liked him a lot when he was younger and a little bit more fresh with his angles. I had my here it goes. Andre Ward's always been someone that I just can't figure out what he does still type fighter. Like, how do you do that? I've been a fan of those Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson. So it's more of just a study group than an actual one fighter.
No, that's fair enough. So obviously you're unique. How would you define your style? If someone's never seen Marlen Esparza fight before, how would you define your style?
Mentally, how I feel like I want to look is, or I feel like that's definitely how I try to fight, would be like a Juan Manuel Marquez would be always very busy. An aggressive fighter, but at the same time, if you need, very tactical. So boxer puncher. I don't sit there and get hit just to hit somebody, but I do like an intense fight. I do like action.
You're about that action, boss.
Yeah, I don't like to sit there and.
Now I got to put you on, because that's actually one of my favorite counter punchers, Juan Manuel Marquez.
He's a beast.
What was your reaction when he knocked out Pacquiao?
I was like, finally, after 5 fights, you landed that dead punch you've been trying to throw. I've been seeing him try to land it since the beginning, and he could never get it right. But he's been waiting for that punch since, I think, the first time they fought. So their first fight is actually one of my favorite fights of all time. So he taught me how to fight left-handers. To be honest with you, what I do know, what I do use I learned off that fight. So that's what I thought when and then I actually thought that for a serious moment, Pacquiao was like never gonna get off that canvas. I was like, wow, like it was bad. And then I think it lasted so long, everybody started to get kind of nervous,
Yeah, they had to wake them up with like smelling salts.
Yeah, and then still, then it went from dang finally to like, oh shoot, is he really okay? That's what I thought.
Now, most people won't ever get to experience this, so I got to ask you and talk about it through your experience. Going to the Olympics, how was it, like, I guess your journey there, and when you finally heard, or how do they even, I don't even know, do they send you a letter, they email you, text you, how do they tell you you're part of the Olympic team?
Oof. It's about a 1.5-year process of trying to get to the games. So first they had to let us know that women were allowed to box in the games. So that was 2009. They announced that we were allowed in the next.
What do you mean allowed in? That wasn't a thing?
2012 was the first time that women ever contested in boxing, and it was also the first time Olympics, because of women's boxing, the last sport to ever be contested in the Olympics. It means every sport. It was the first Olympics that every sport had officially let women.
Oh wow, I didn't know that, but
yeah, that's how behind we are.
Yeah, like
2012.
Can you guys vote, man?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
dang.
So, it was the first time that women's boxing was ever allowed in the games, and so to be in that was huge.
So you went the very first year that women were allowed to even box in the games.
Mm-hmm. And I was the first girl in the United States to actually qualify for the Olympic Games. So for about 2-3 months, Queen Underwood and Clarissa Shields, who were also at the games with me, didn't qualify. They both lost at the qualifiers. So they had to wait to see if they were allowed in, and that's a whole different procedure that involves wild cards. So I was the only one on the team. So basically what happens is they let us in 2009. And then we knew the qualification process would be to get into trials, which you have to win a national tournament, top 2 of the tournaments that they say. And then you go to trials, and it's double elimination. So you fight the best of the best, and you have to beat everybody. And so you have to beat one person twice, or someone twice. And then after that, you have to go overseas, and you have to place your country. And we place by name, not by country, which is a long story, but basically after that I had to go to China, and I had to place in, out of 87 countries, I had to place in the top 12. And if I lost once, everything was for nothing. I placed 5th. And then I lost because I didn't care anymore. I was like, you know what, I'm in the games, and my brain and everything just shut down. So then I was allowed in the games, and that was in May, and then I competed at the Olympics in July.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, what's your favorite place? All the places you fought at, what's your favorite place? Not even, it doesn't have to be for boxing, just your favorite place that you visited, because I'm sure you got to see some different sites.
New Delhi, India was my favorite place because I was so young, and it was an experience. It was
in India you were fighting?
Mm-hmm. I fought. It was my first international trip ever, and I was 17. And it was the first time out of the country, and it was a third world country, and what I saw was only things that I saw on TV and read in textbooks, and you don't know what it is until you're there. It was the first time. That's when I started wearing the American bandana that everybody wears now. Like, I started that because I was like, yo, I'm still American at the end of the day. So it was a huge eye-opener for me as far as the difference in people's lives just on where you're born. And I would say definitely one of my favorite places.
Yeah, straight out of Texas, and you're in India?
Yeah, yeah, I know.